The voice of doubt is paralyzing your faith. Today we're going to learn how to silence it, not with empty promises, but with a powerful truth. The best year of your life, a life truly aligned with God's purpose, doesn't start tomorrow. It begins right now with the very next decision you make. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet whisper of inadequacy, that sense of being stuck in a spiritual rut, waiting for some grand revelation or a sudden burst of motivation to finally kickstart the life you know God intends for you. We often believe that true change requires a dramatic turning point, a lightning bolt from the heavens, when in reality, the divine power we seek is woven into the fabric of our daily choices, in the quiet discipline of waking up with purpose, in the strength to say no to distractions, and in the sheer courage to act when hesitation whispers its tempting lullaby. This isn't about striving in your own strength. It's about making space for God's power to flow through your intentional acts of obedience and faith. It's about recognizing that every single day is a fresh canvas, a new opportunity given by grace, not to be squandered in procrastination or regret, but to be filled with purpose, one brushstroke at a time. This journey isn't just about personal improvement. It's about spiritual transformation, becoming the person God designed you to be, not someday, but starting today. We stand at a crossroads, many of us, feeling the weight of unfulfilled potential, the ache of knowing we could be more, do more, live more fully in Christ. The common diagnosis for this spiritual inertia is often a lack of motivation, but I propose a different truth. It's not a lack of motivation, but a lack of intentional action, a failure to recognize that our daily habits are not just routines, but profound spiritual disciplines. We wait for inspiration to strike, for a surge of willpower, rather than understanding that action itself births motivation, especially when rooted in faith. Think about it. How many times have you prayed for strength, for clarity, for a breakthrough, only to return to the same patterns of inaction, the same cycle of waiting? This is where the first seeds of transformation are sown. It begins by taking absolute, unwavering control of your daily decisions, recognizing that your future is not shaped by external circumstances, but by the choices you make, minute by minute, hour by hour. This isn't about self-reliance, but about stewarding the gifts and the time God has given you. It's about cultivating a spiritual garden where every consistent effort, no matter how small, becomes a sacred act. Are you ready to see how your daily choices can become a profound act of worship, transforming your spirit from the inside out? If this message resonates with your heart, I invite you to share your own journey of seeking God's purpose in your daily life in the comments below, and consider subscribing to this channel for more encouragement on your path of faith. One of the most insidious obstacles we face on this journey is the lie of tomorrow. We tell ourselves we'll start that new spiritual habit, mend that broken relationship, or tackle that daunting task when the conditions are perfect, when we feel more energized, or when we have more time. This procrastination isn't just a bad habit. It's a spiritual thief, robbing us of today's divine opportunities. It whispers, "You're not ready yet," or "It's too hard, just wait." But the principle of overcoming this is simple, yet profound. God calls us to act now, in the present moment, with the faith we have, not the faith we wish we had. Consider the story of David, a shepherd boy facing Goliath. He didn't wait for a full army, for perfect armor, or for a surge of confidence. He stepped forward with 5 smooth stones and a sling, relying on God's power in that immediate moment. He acted on what he knew to be true, even when the odds seemed impossible. I remember a young man, let's call him Michael, a talented artist who felt paralyzed by the sheer size of his creative dreams. He'd spend hours planning, sketching, but rarely put paint to canvas. He waited for inspiration, for a perfect block of time. I challenged him to simply commit to 10 minutes of painting every single day, no matter how he felt, no matter how busy he was. He started small, painting small fragments, not full masterpieces. But those 10 minutes, consistently applied, broke the spell of procrastination. Soon, the 10 minutes grew into an hour, and then 2, and the act of starting, of simply putting brush to canvas, unlocked a flow of creativity he never imagined. His greatest masterpiece wasn't a painting, but the discipline he cultivated by choosing to act today, not tomorrow. Another significant obstacle that subtly sabotages our spiritual growth and purposeful living is the constant barrage of distractions and the negative influences we allow into our lives. We often think of distractions as external noise, but the most dangerous ones are often internal. The endless scrolling, the mindless consumption, the toxic thoughts, and the draining relationships that slowly erode our focus and spiritual energy. Here's a surprising revelation. Your environment is not neutral. It is a powerful shaper of your spirit. The company you keep, the content you consume, the spaces you inhabit, these are not just background elements. They are active participants in your spiritual formation. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, by cynicism, by those who dim your light, how can you expect to shine brightly for Christ? The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 13:20, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." This isn't just about social circles. It's about spiritual warfare for your attention and your peace. I knew a woman, a dedicated nurse in her late 40s, who felt perpetually exhausted and overwhelmed, despite her deep faith. She worked tirelessly, but her evenings were spent mindlessly consuming social media, comparing her life to curated highlight reels, and engaging in online debates that left her drained. The practical application was simple, yet incredibly difficult for her. She committed to cutting out just one toxic habit, an hour of social media scrolling before bed, and replaced it with 15 minutes of quiet reflection and prayer. The initial discomfort was immense, like breaking an addiction. But within weeks, she noticed a profound shift. Her sleep improved, her anxiety lessened, and the mental space that was once filled with comparison and negativity began to be filled with a quiet peace. She realized that by optimizing her spiritual environment, by choosing stillness over noise, she was actively creating space for God to speak to her. It wasn't about adding more to her plate, but about removing what was actively weakening her spirit. This brings us to a profound spiritual turning point. The moment we truly embrace the central biblical truth that our strength for transformation comes not from our own willpower alone, but from Christ who strengthens us. Philippians 4:13 declares, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." This isn't a cliche, it's a divine promise, a foundational truth for inner transformation. It means that when you feel weak, when the task seems overwhelming, when the voice of doubt tries to paralyze you, you have a divine reservoir of power available. It's not about trying harder in your own human capacity, but about leaning deeper into God's infinite strength. This truth shifts our focus from self-reliance to God-reliance. Our self-mastery, as the world defines it, becomes God-mastery within us. We are not just building discipline, we are cultivating a spirit of obedience, trust and surrender. The transformation isn't just about changing habits, it's about renewing your mind, allowing God's truth to reshape your thought patterns and beliefs. When you begin to speak your goals aloud, not just as desires, but as prophetic declarations, rooted in God's will for your life, you are not just building belief in yourself, but in the God who empowers you. This is where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where consistent effort, infused with faith, yields exponential spiritual growth. It's the moment you stop waiting for a feeling of motivation and start acting on what needs to be done immediately, knowing that God is with you in that very act of faith. This pivotal shift is the difference between a life of constant striving and a life of empowered, purposeful living in Christ. Embracing this truth, that God strengthens us for every intentional action, opens up a completely new perspective. Challenges are no longer insurmountable walls, but opportunities to witness God's power. Difficult days aren't reasons to give up, but invitations to lean more heavily on His grace. It's a perspective shift from "I can't" to "God can through me." I recall the testimony of a young pastor, barely in his 30s, who was called to revitalize a struggling church in a challenging urban neighborhood. The task seemed impossible. The congregation was small and aging, the community was riddled with social issues, and resources were practically non-existent. Many advised him to seek an easier path. But he took this principle to heart. He didn't focus on the overwhelming odds. He focused on the daily intentional steps God called him to take. He started by simply walking the neighborhood every morning, praying for the community, speaking to anyone he met. He woke up earlier than ever before, not just for personal devotion, but to plan his day with meticulous purpose, seeking God's guidance for every interaction. He committed to learning something new every single day about urban ministry, about community development, about the specific needs of his neighbors. He dropped negative influences and sought out mentors who spoke life and possibility. It was a slow, arduous process, filled with setbacks and moments of doubt. But over time, through his consistent, God-empowered effort, the church began to transform. It became a vibrant hub of community outreach, a place of healing and hope. His story isn't just about a church revival. It's a powerful testament to how a single individual, committed to daily, intentional acts of faith, can become a vessel for expansive transformation, not just in their own life, but in the lives of countless others. So how do we translate these powerful truths into practical daily steps? It begins with the fundamental commitment to wake up earlier, not just to add hours to your day, but to dedicate those first precious moments to planning your day with divine purpose. This isn't about rigid schedules, but about intentionality, asking God to guide your priorities, to reveal where your energy is best spent. Second, fix your sleep habits. This may seem mundane, but adequate rest is crucial for mental strength and spiritual resilience. God designed our bodies for rest, and neglecting it weakens our capacity to serve Him. Third, rigorously track your progress, not for self-condemnation, but for brutal honesty. Where are you excelling? Where do you need to lean more on God's grace? This provides feedback, allowing you to adapt and grow. Fourth, eliminate one toxic habit that weakens your focus, be it excessive social media, a negative thought pattern, or a draining relationship. This creates a vacuum for God's presence. Fifth, speak your goals aloud, not just to yourself, but to God, declaring your intentions and seeking His alignment. Sixth, act immediately on what needs to be done, overcoming the hesitation that often paralyzes us. Seventh, optimize your environment by choosing a supportive social circle that lifts you up in faith and drops negative influences that drag you down. And finally, commit to learning something new every single day, a new biblical insight, a new skill, a new perspective, fostering continuous growth in every area of your life. This is your renewed vision, a life lived with purpose, fueled by faith, transformed by intentional action. This is your invitation to change, to step into the fullness of God's plan for you. As we consolidate this journey, remember that the power to change, to live a life of profound purpose and spiritual strength, lies entirely within the individual, empowered by God's grace. You are not waiting for a future date, a perfect set of circumstances, or a sudden burst of motivation. The best year of your life, the most impactful days of your spiritual walk, start right now with the very next decision you make. This isn't a call to perfection, but a call to consistent, intentional effort, leaning on the strength of Christ every step of the way. Imagine a life where you wake up each morning with a clear sense of divine purpose, where distractions hold less power over you, where your mind is renewed daily by God's truth, and where your actions are a testament to your unwavering faith. This isn't just a dream. It's a tangible reality available to you through God's power. It's a life where every challenge is met with resilience, every setback with renewed faith, and every victory with humble gratitude. You have the seeds of greatness within you, planted by the Creator Himself. Now, it's time to cultivate them. If this message has stirred your spirit and ignited a desire for deeper transformation, I want to hear from you. Share one small intentional step you're committing to take this week in the comments below, and let us know what spiritual topics you'd like us to explore next on this journey of faith. Your story, your insights, and your commitment are a powerful encouragement to this entire community.